Okay.
Um, so I'm wondering, like, I'm sure this is part of some kind of transformative media, whatever, whatever.
Uh-huh.
That's not just for censorship purposes, but also in preparation for next year's election run. Um,
Or our,
but
coming Chinese overlords.
that too. Uh, but I was also wanting to go through there and see if there's any like and the other thing that in conjunction to what they did earlier this year with them rechanging or redoing what it takes to be a certified uh, YouTube account.
Oh yeah? I didn't know that.
Yeah. hmm There's some people I saw like oh gosh, what is the? It's a reviewer who I actually enjoy his review style. Oh, Carrick? Carrick? I don't remember his name, but anyway, like he has less than 800,000, but more than 300. Something like that.
Yeah.
And I think he lost his certification check. Um, I think he got it back after there was some. What is his name?
Oh, oh goodness. Oh.
I mean, this is like late. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that they've been doing a whole bunch of different changes to different facets of YouTube. And so I was wondering if there's also something in there that they're trying to like smooth out before they launch whatever new, like, influencer, sub, whatever program that they're about to roll out, to divest money from people who don't already have money.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I don't really like the state of the media right now. It's
Mm-mm.
shaky at best.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the stream is up and running.
All right, I am going, going, going.
Uh,
I see it says live. All right, I just heard my voice. If you want to talk a little bit.
me talk a little bit. They don't need to hear me. They need to hear you.
I will Okay, there we go. I will. Okay, you sound a little low.
Oh
That never
yeah?
happens.
Huh. Okay. I can adjust it as long as I don't die here.
Okay, you sound a little low. That never happens. There you go.
Oh, is that better?
No. I wonder if I just sound louder to my own ears because I don't have the little mic muffler. There you go.
That might be it. What?
I wonder if I just sound louder. Okay, I'm gonna stop this because I can't listen to it. All right.
Okay. Uh, uh, Are we starting?
You are our announcer, my friend. I will let you get to it. Let me
Uh,
open this email.
that's a place of honor, and I am happy to receive the title. How do I start this one? I don't know. It's been a while. We're making a podcast, and well, it's just me and Vast again. And maybe Arcadius will join us later. But there have been things that have been going on in the video game world since the last time we made one of these things, and we felt like we would bring the literal one of you that listens to us up to speed on what's in our wheelhouse right now. Um, we've got Blizzard to talk about. We've got a little bit of Ubisoft and Ghost Recon Breakpoint. some PlayStation 5-y things, some Xbox Scarlet-y things, and just general state of the industry and stuff. So I will leave most of the steering up to Vast because we started this thread weeks ago and I looked at it and
Weeks.
then kind of forgot about it until it got updated. So, Vast, what are we doing first?
You know what? We're going to start with a low point in a certain developer slash publisher's year of okayness, and that is Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I kind of want to start here because I think everything else kind of moves you up.
Okay.
So let's start low and then go high.
Are you sure you want to? Okay. Because there's some really iffy Blizzard stuff on there too. But sure.
Yeah, no,
Sure.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this is low,
Okay.
and then we're gonna move up.
All right. So tell me about Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Why is this the low spot in our podcast?
I'm thinking this is the low spot because it was, by Ubisoft's president's own admission to its investors call, which is really the only people who matter, apparently, are the people who can't, is that this is a critical failure. It was not well received by fans of the series or by the gaming industry critics. And Ubisoft recognized this, pointing to things like a lack of if only this article would open, I could tell you.
Well, they said things like they failed to innovate on their product, right?
Yes.
So I can tell you that one of the reasons why I did not pick up Breakpoint is that I played Wildlands and
Hmm.
it just looked like the same game but with that guy from The Walking Dead that I don't care about.
He
So,
was also the Punisher. Just want to bring that up.
okay. But all right. My version of the Punisher was the guy before that. He was also in
Oh,
Rome. That was a really
yeah.
good series.
He's a pretty good actor.
Yeah,
Okay,
he is.
sorry. We broke away there. But no,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
So,
Uh,
didn't they also say that this year was actually pretty lean as far as releases for Ubisoft? They're, it
yes.
sounds like they're gearing up for like a haul into the next gen.
Okay, so they pointed out that according to Ubisoft's internal metrics, the Division 2 did not perform as well as they were anticipating.
Wasn't it one of the most popular games of the year though? I feel like
Yeah,
it
but
was somehow.
it was because it was a better game than the original Division, and it brought over a pretty hefty fan base.
Yeah,
And we played the Division 2, and I think overall we enjoyed it.
we did.
But I can see why. I can see while it being a better game and more fun to play, it didn't set the world on fire because it felt more like an iterative update than
Yeah,
you know
I
than an
can
actual
I,
expansion of the idea.
I can definitely agree with you there. I feel like it felt more like DLC. Like, oh, this is the DC DLC
Mm,
for the Division. Now with
yeah,
enhanced color palette.
yes, enhanced color palette, some more things to do, build a base. And I like the changes. Like we're getting into the Division 2, and I like the changes that they like. I really enjoyed I really enjoyed the Division 2 over the Division, and I actually had fun with the Division. But I'm like coming at that point at it like if 2 had been 1, then Division 2 would have been a much bigger game.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
that does make sense. Yeah, I'll say yes.
Yep. But going back to Breakpoint, um,
Oh yeah, that's what we started with.
That's what we started with. The Ubisoft president, I was trying to get his quote here, that he noted that the game did not come with enough differentiation factors. And it had been strongly rejected by a significant part of the portion of their community, and that the investors should expect lower than estimated revenue figures for the remainder of the year, and that the underperformance of Division 2 by their standards, the flop, unfortunately, of Breakpoint is one of the reasons why I think we discussed in our last podcast that they were pushing back release dates for their other games,
Yeah, they
including.
like pushed back nearly all of their projects. Like I know that Watch Dogs Legion was supposed to come out at, don't quote me on it, but like April. I think it's later than that now, right?
I feel like it's coming out in like September
Yeah.
of 2020. And the other two game announcements that they had, which I apologize, I can't remember right now. They have also been pushed back.
And you know, that's okay. I think that people taking an extra moment to look at what they make, especially in an industry that is totally as unforgiving as it is a good thing. They're taking the Nintendo approach to it all, and I think at the end it's going to pay off for them. Especially if you want to like put more spit and elbow grease into Beyond Good and Evil 2, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Look, that game, as a proud space monkey, that game can take all the time that it needs as long as it comes out for the next gen. I
Yeah.
don't want it to come out like, like when I have full on carpal tunnel and can't enjoy it. So
Well, I mean, as long as they nail down letting me be a shark man in space, I'm perfectly happy with that.
I think one of the reasons why I was not necessarily interested in playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I played Wildlands. We all played Wildlands. I
Hmm.
enjoyed it to a point, but that style of game and the narrative that they were telling was way bleak.
Yeah,
and so
it really was.
and so I wasn't really necessarily excited about hopping into this new one. Um, Although, if it went on sale and you guys said, "Hey, let's get it," I would totally join, because everything's fun with friends. Oh,
Oh
almost
yeah,
everything is fun with
absolutely.
friends. Going to jail, I'm sure, would not be
I
fun with
mean,
friends.
a vasectomy would not be good with friends.
The after party, though. um, no, but
Oh man, that's great.
um,
We need to do these more often.
we do. But where I was going with this is saying that like Ghost Recon is one of those franchises that I feel helps is a revenue. It's supposed to be a revenue driver for Ubisoft. It's a game that they can put out. Know they have a designated population that is going to purchase it, and that's money in the bank for them. That allows them to go out and do the kind of
The more
off-brand games
experimental stuff, like
like
they,
the
they've got Far Cry, they've got Ghost Recon. That's like Ubisoft's FIFA. You know what I mean?
yeah.
People are gonna buy that. You know?
And I'm okay with that because you need the money so you can go out there and do a For Honor or do a Beyond Good and Evil 2 or do a whatever the ship game is
Do
that I keep
another
on
Just
forgetting.
Dance.
Just Dance.
Skull and Bones.
Thank you, Skull and Bones. And so I'm just like, I know those projects are still going to be going forward, but is there something that's going to be cut because of that? So that's kind of how I've been thinking about this. I was like, oh, I can't give you my money, Ubisoft, but make some improvements, and when it goes on sale, we'll talk.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Um, from what I can tell, they didn't really have a lot to say about it being like buggy or anything, did they? It just underperformed.
It just underperformed, and I watched a couple of reviews over it, and most people were saying like the world itself it was an upgrade with the graphic fidelity and the sound and the guns. Like that part was actually really nice. And they did some interesting things with the mission structure in that in the very beginning of the game, if you're savvy, you can actually go and find the boss and kill him.
Like immediately, you can just walk up
Like,
to him and kill him.
yes, and kill him. Like it's a hard battle. Like you might have to cheese it, but you can do it. And then when you continue the story unfolds with the game actually acknowledging that he is gone. So it has a whole different dialogue tree,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah, so they actually like they plan for this for you to have like this open world free roam adventure. But some of the things that were missing from this game was like that they had in Wildlands, Ghost Recon in the Wildlands was like your AI support. There is no conversation in the car if you're playing by yourself, and a lot of these
Oh.
like the little things. I think there were some issues with the drones. Don't quote me on that one. Or and like the skill trees were expanded, but weren't as
They're kind of what, like fluff,
yeah,
kind
they're
of?
just kind of fluff. They weren't as helpful as like the previous game. And
Gotcha.
then of course there was a loot box component for
Oh.
Breakpoint. And it was purely cosmetic, but it was like bad cosmetic. Like the color blue and the color purple for your gun
Oh
cosmetics.
no.
That kind of stuff.
It's not they didn't like pull an EA and said no one would pay money to get a pink Darth Vader skin. They're like, "We we switched the colors from blue to purple on your assault rifle." That's
Yeah,
mm-mm, mm-mm.
basically. And there are more things there. And I will let you, unlike not to send you one person who watches us anywhere, but there are some pretty good reviews on it that'll give you a bigger breakdown.
Yeah. Well, on that idea of reviews, we could talk a little bit about the very mixed reaction that Death Stranding is getting right now.
I am so glad that you brought that up. Please, I have not had a chance to watch very much of at all of you streaming, but please tell me
Okay.
about the Death Stranding experience and the mixed reviews.
Well, okay. So a lot of independent reviewers are giving this an amazing score. A lot of the already established reviewers are not giving it so much of a good score. Like I know IGN North America gave it a 6.8 out of 10. Uh, and they cited things like the story like not really stacking up all that well, or like repetitive gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. But listen, you bought a Hideo Kojima game. That's it.
Hmm.
You're not. If you went into Death Stranding thinking that you were going to get a different experience than a Hideo Kojima game, you were not living in this century. You know what I mean?
I do, I do.
And let me be frank, the game is weird. Like the first time I streamed it, I think I put it down within an hour and a half, because I had to sit there and think about what I had just experienced, because it was bonkers. Like every single cutscene thing that they gave, all of the stuff leading up to Death Stranding's release, all of those cutscenes were in the first hour. And it was just a gigantic universe lore dump. And it was so weird, and it was so Kojima. And if anybody has ever played Metal Gear Solid Guns of the Patriots, they will they will undoubtedly feel the same way as when they played that, because Guns of the Patriots was here's your assault rifle, here's your skin tight tactical gimp suit. Now run out into Afghanistan for a cutscene. And then
Uh,
like run around for 15 minutes to another cutscene. That's kind of the way Death Stranding is. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I can see how that's a definite turnoff for some players. Uh, that being said, I am kind of enjoying it, even if it is a little bit repetitive. What with the whole like
Hello?
post. Hey!
Hey, who is this stranger?
We
Oh,
are
just an eavesdropper.
we are podcasting. Welcome,
All right,
welcome.
continue on then.
We are talking about Death Stranding and it being the post-apocalypse Amazon delivery guy simulator.
I also
Oh,
hear that
okay.
halfway through there's a Mads Mikkelsen dating sim
The
as
dating sim.
well.
Okay.
Don't leave that part out.
Well, I have just seen snippets of Mad Mikkelsen so far,
Okay,
and
okay.
it's creepy. He's talking to a baby in a jar the whole time.
Mm.
So, you
Is this
know,
baby cognizant of him in the
oh
jar?
yeah, absolutely. It's like
Oh, okay. It's
memories.
creepy.
Yeah, no, this game is creepy, man. This game is creepy. But I'm
But it's
going
not
to
Dead
be.
Space creepy, is it?
It's not what?
It's not Dead Space creepy, is it? That's like a different kind of creepy.
It can be Dead Space creepy. I mean, all of the enemies you can't see, and you got to rely on a sensor to like show it to you. And when the bad guys are aware of you, because they aren't really inherently aware of you, they're
Yeah.
like,
Only when you get close or something like that.
yeah, they like pull you into a giant pile of oil, and then like crazy shit spawns out of the oil, and you have to fight it with your own blood. So
Oh,
yeah,
no.
it's an experience. But yeah, I'm gonna be streaming every single second of me playing it on this channel. So if
Okay.
you ever want to know what it's like, you can look up one of my streams. I'm on part 4 of my own streams. I'm only in chapter 2 so far. But yeah, look forward to that more in the future. What's next? We can move on.
Okay. Next on the list, just take a quick dip into Google Stadia news.
Okay. What you got?
Um, just that it is set to release on schedule, and that Google sold out of the Stadia's Founders Edition in all 14 launch countries. So it did that. However, I mean,
That's a
I'm
thing
trying to
that it
sound
did.
I'm trying to sound like enthusiastic because I really am curious about this. About Google Stadia and what it's going to bring to the table in terms of competition to the consoles and to the PC space. However, because I understand how, like, at least in my country, which is the United States, how our internet situation is
Hmm.
like I don't see it as anything other than an early adopter in a city that has like Google Internet or Google Fiber is going to
Yeah,
benefit.
yeah, definitely. The latency is a big deal with this because it's an all cloud-based platform, right?
Hmm.
So you're gonna have to deal with all that junk and
It's gonna be a lot of
Yes.
rage quitting.
lot of rage quitting. I
Like I'm
can't
trying to rage
see
quit right now because my I can't open up these stupid articles. They're just sitting here.
I can't see me picking Stadia up ever.
Nope.
It's not it's like a novelty thing. It's like the Vive. It's like an Oculus. You know what I mean? Oh, that's kind of a cool
Hmm.
novelty at this point. Call me back in 10 years when it's better, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't swear allegiance to too many things, but I am officially in the PlayStation and Nintendo ecosystem, and I just branched out into like Samsung. So
Samsung is great. I've used their
I
phones for
know
like 7 or 8 years. Really liked it.
I'm newly into it, if only because Windows phones didn't light the world on fire, even though they at least had a system that didn't look like you just spat stickers onto a screen. But anyway, that's another thing. That's just a me thing. I'm crazy. I know. Um, but the other part about the Google Stadia is that the wireless controllers
Oh,
were,
yes. They are not
and I can't,
wireless.
they are not wireless, and so that was
What?
one of the.
Oh, you just unplugged
Uh-oh.
yourself.
You just pulled yourself. Pulled the plug.
Yeah. Fast, plug yourself back in.
It fell on the floor and skidded across the room. Okay, But that's the big selling point for the Google Stadia. You're supposed to be able to like stick in your Chromecast and use your controller across your multiple home electronics devices. So your TV, your laptop, and your phone. You could just use your controller wirelessly. Well, that's not going to be the case.
Nope.
Lame.
I don't remember the reason why they told us that that was going to be not going to be the case.
Let me just pull this open on my phone. I'm sorry, guys. I usually have all of these things, all these articles open so I can look up real quick, and my slow ass internet is not working tonight.
I
Well,
mean, if it makes you feel any better, I hadn't read any of it.
It
you,
does actually, just a smidge.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is my first literal free evening.
That is impressive, my friend.
Yeah.
It's let me start off by saying it is good to hear your voice. I was
Mhm.
worried that you were dying. You know what I mean?
I got stories when we get off.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
uh,
I think this is just the verge. I don't think it's my internet after all. Well,
oh yeah.
anyway, it's a thing that's not going to be happening. They won't be launching. Excuse me. They won't be launching with the wireless uh, controller. You'll have to plug in. So I'm not sure how they're going to fix that functionality, if it's or what, but that's what's going on.
I'm
What happened?
outside. Oh my god. So do we? I don't know if this is a good topic. It might be really only a me thing, but I got my PC up and running and played Outer Worlds on it.
Oh, how is it?
It is phenomenal, and I am now spoiled.
So
It's
Fallout who?
yeah, it's really good. There's not much more for me to say. It's great. The ending is a little bit on the abrupt side, but this is a much smaller team and it doesn't have the same amount of resources that, let's say, Big Boy Bethesda has.
Mhm.
So I'll give him a little bit of slack. But
Well, was
it's
it an
pretty good.
abrupt? Is it an abrupt? Oh, there's DLC coming ending.
Well, there are planets that are listed on navigation that I never went to.
Okay.
So there might be um, some DLC coming, but the end was a very definitive. This is the end. We're not giving you the rest of the open world to continue to play with, kind of ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard nothing but good things and seen a lot of great memes about leaving Fallout behind.
Yeah. I mean, at this point there's not enough actual content to do that, but I can see where they're coming from, definitely. Um, God, what do I have to say about it? The companions are great, the quests are great, the environments are great. It really makes you happy to blow up corporate asshats. Um, the weapons feel nice if you're not playing a melee build because melee is kind of garbage. Um, the world and all the lore and stuff is really cool. Um, yeah, but the ending is kind of abrupt. That's really all I have to say about that.
Okay. Well, speaking of abrupt endings, there has been, in the past couple of weeks, a little bit of censorship that has been occurring with as the media, or excuse me, the companies that have purchased Deadspin and Kotaku.
Oh yeah.
That could have been smoother, but we're still getting back into it. We're still getting back into it.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little while. Man, do you remember when we used to do one of these like every 2 weeks?
Back in the
Mhm.
day
Yeah,
when we
You were
didn't have
so
anything
young.
better to do.
yeah. So, I got a whole huge pile of all of this information straight from Twitter, straight from Jason Schreier, who is a reporter for Kotaku, and he first signaled the alarm when one of his friends was fired from a partner site, Deadspin. And as the story goes, Deadspin didn't really tell this guy that he was fired. It was the corporate shareholder Geo Media that told this particular writer that he was fired. And it came after a warning to the site at large to just stick to sports.
Hmm.
And the writer evidently wrote something that was not sports, and he was just up and fired for it.
Huh.
And
See, abrupt.
yeah, really abrupt. And later on, Geo Media released a statement saying that they had nothing but the site's best interests at heart, and the lion's share of what people go to Deadspin was for sports. But if you take a look at the analytics of like how much traffic they get, what articles get the most hits, and all of that, they do a majority of the articles that they write are based on sports or are sports related, but the amount of traffic across all articles is the same. So it's not like articles about, like, say, gaming or like vacation destinations or whatever the hell they're doing. It were like underperforming or anything like that, which
Hmm.
means that their firing of this guy was really unwarranted. And it's really bad, and it's still really bad. And over the next set of days, a slew of writers and editors had quit Deadspin. And at this point, I don't believe Deadspin actually employs any writers or editors right now.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's intense.
I don't know what's going to happen with all of that. I know that the GMG union is getting involved because this particular writer was part of a writers union, um,
That's
which
lovely.
which in this case is a pretty good thing because he was toasted very unfavorably, and
Sounds like it.
yeah, he needs somebody in his corner at this point in time.
Well, just so you know that there are some really interesting articles out there, and within the past 6 hours or so, um, the New York Times has an article that's titled "I was fired from Deadspin for refusing to stick to sports."
There we go.
So it's out there. It's an opinion column, and it's really interesting that this all happened like that.
It really did.
And it's not like Deadspin wasn't a money making property, as much as you can be in like today's like
Yeah.
content sourcing media shifting media landscape
Oh,
or whatever you
yeah.
want to say.
Okay. I remember how it started. I remember now how it started. So, Geo Media released that ultimatum me kind of stick to sports kind of thing. And then what they did was they leased out spaces in their articles for a slew of ads that were essentially taking up all of the traffic. It was like unskippable sound playing ads that you couldn't find anywhere. They were like huge banner ads, like giant pop up things. And this writer said he posted an article saying, listen, we don't like this either. It detracts from our actual writing and what we're actually doing. If you want to voice your opinion on this matter, you can do it officially through this Geo Media portal where you can lodge your complaint about the the ads. And within a few hours, that article was no longer like usable. It was gone, and the guy was fired. So, yeah.
Huh. seems rather odd.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just went and checked Deadspin's page, and the last article was from November 4th. And their entire after the firing, I think the entire staff resigned
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
after
that's
the mandates.
crazy.
I don't blame
That'll
them
get the
really.
point across.
So I think we ran that out. What's next?
Well, I'm going to bring it up a little bit. I'm going to bring it up with a couple of announcements that I thought were kind of cool. The first was that, hey, there's a My Little Pony Friendship is Magic the card game.
Oh yeah, it's as part of Magic the Gathering, right?
Yes, it is. It is a thing.
Oh.
It's a limited edition card game.
I hear that
Magic the
sigh from
Gathering
Arcadius.
tying together with Hasbro.
It better stay limited, because that stuff doesn't need to proliferate. That's
You know, one of the best
but here's the
things on
thing.
earth that you can do to a group of people that you don't know and don't care to know ever, just walk up to them in broad daylight while they're having conversation, like in a fucking break room or something like that, and start with the sentence, "Hey, what's up, every pony?" and then just see what they do.
I would never do that.
I will say,
It's great. It's great.
I will say that the article, which I found on Kotaku, said that it's sold in 3 packs for $50. 30 of those dollars go to the Extra Life Children's Hospital charity organization.
Okay. At least it's a good cause, right?
Right. And, for all of you bronies out there who are looking for a Last Dance, the card art looks amazing, so there's that.
Oh, gross.
Let's see. Something else that's a little light, a little on the entertainment side of the news.
Ooh.
Actually, no, I take this.
I have something.
I take this back real quick. Another thing that they released, the first evolution for the new Pokemon Sword and Shield games have been released.
Yeah. There's been some backlash about that.
I didn't see the backlash. Talk me through the backlash.
Yeah, so people are very underwhelmed with how the evolutions are looking. And
Really?
yeah, and as a matter of fact, Danny and I were talking about it, and she made it clear that she was not going to be getting the game at release, and I agreed with her. I'm not going to be getting the game at release, if at all, because of various things, but it's not a title anymore that has grabbed my attention. And so it exploded the internet that all these evolutions leaked, right? And it got to Game Freak, which are the guys that make the Pokemon games, and it evidently set office morale into the basement. It obliterated it. And over the last couple of days, I think there's been a slew of people that have reached out to Game Freak to talk to them about their fond memories of Pokemon, and essentially in an attempt to cheer them up, which I think is very nice.
Oh no, I didn't realize they had the entirety of the evolutions released.
Yeah, it leaked.
Oh. I did not. And so here's the thing. I have been wondering what Grookey would look like at the end.
Yeah, I don't really like it. Big ol' gorilla with drums. Yeah. I don't really like Sobble's last evolution either.
Well, first of all, I was never going to evolve to let Sobble evolve. His first evolution is perfect. Nothing they could have done would beat that.
That is
nothing they could have done would beat that. I'm sorry.
That is such a huge level of cock blockery. You know that, right?
There's
Oh
nothing they
my
could have
God.
done. Do you see his little eyes tear up, and he's got the tiny, tiny chameleon hair? Oh my gosh,
No.
he's so cute.
No.
He's so cute. And then
Let
they turned him into a giant with like leather pants. What?
Yeah,
I'm not a
dude.
furry. That doesn't appeal to me.
All right, I think if you like amphibians or lizards, you're a different thing than a furry. I think there's like an actual name for that. But
You know what? I think you're right, but I don't go that deep.
Just skim the top. Just
yeah.
Just skimming the top. Not to shame, just saying.
Yeah.
I don't go that deep.
And that's fair. Everybody's allowed to do whatever they want, evidently. Oh man. But yeah, they turned him into the like angsty theater nerd with a scarf or some shit.
Yeah, they kind of did. You can't tell him nothing now. He's been off Broadway, and he's looking to go straight to the top. Oh man.
Well, that's all the Pokemon news that we have.
yeah.
What's next? What do we got?
Okay, let's talk next gen gaming consoles real quick.
Okay.
I'll start with the fact that Xbox Scarlet, towards the end of October, released their financing plans
Yeah.
to get those yummy Xbox players into their new console.
I think they did that on purpose because they're worried that they might come in over what Sony's prices will be, and so to try and curb the hit of how expensive their consoles are going to be compared to previous generations, they'll finance it, and then it'll soften the blow. I only pay $30 a month. It's fine.
Well,
So the start. Oh, go ahead.
not only that, I feel like it's an attempt to maintain the console population that they have,
Mm-hmm.
and
Possibly.
to talk about how they're financing this. It's that if you buy an Xbox within a certain time frame of when the Xbox Scarlet is going to be released, and you make consistent payments on that Xbox, or how is it, like if you buy it,
I
if
got
you
your back, my friend. You ready?
okay, yeah, go do it.
Okay, so if you pick up an Xbox One S and you make 18 monthly payments, you'll be eligible to upgrade to your Project Scarlet.
Yeah, that's it.
If you pick the Xbox One X, the more powerful version, whatever it is, you only have to pay 12 monthly payments, and you can upgrade after the 12 payments. So you'll be able to just move into your new console at the end of 2020. And those payment range is $17.99 in the UK, $19.99 in the US.
All things considered, that's not a bad price point per month. You know, it's something that is attainable by a great many people, and I think that's an admirable
in
thing.
order to compete.
Well, but I think it's. Hold on, and let me read through this a little bit further. I think there was a caveat here.
There's
And
always
it's
an
that
asterisk.
you need to trade in your console once
That's
you're
fine
finished.
print. Yeah.
Give it up, huh?
Yep. But I also think this is, like you said, to maintain their current base, to keep people into their Xbox ecosystem. I don't necessarily think they're worried about coming in overpriced. I do think they're a little worried because they're going head to head with Sony. And I don't think in the last generation they actually released at the same time,
No.
right?
Yeah, it was not in the same window, at
Xbox, I thought, got the
least.
jump because they had the
Yeah.
entire Kinect fiasco, and after that was on the middle of blowover, Sony was like, "Hey guys, by the way, our system's out now," and then a wave of dissatisfied people with Microsoft went and bought the PS4.
Yeah, or something like
Yeah.
that.
And while they might not be the same window next year, odds are that they're all going to be dropping around holiday season because that's
Well,
just when you're going to get the most money.
yeah, that's when they said that they're, at least I know PlayStation announced that they would be releasing their new console holiday 2020. And I think that's the window that Scarlett said that they were doing it too. So
Yep.
it's going to be a direct clash.
So I've
We'll
read
see how
some
that goes.
articles, but not a lot. Have they confirmed whether or not PS5 is backwards compatible, or is that still on the hush?
I don't know.
Okay, so it's still on the hush.
It
There
makes
was
I'm
there was an article that they explicitly asked about that, and the CEO commented that, well, there are a lot of things in development, and they're making great strides to make the PS5 as adaptable and flexible for developers moving forward. And he went and highlighted about how the developers that have received the preliminary consoles are excited at how easy it is to program for the PlayStation 5. But he didn't quite answer the question, except for the loose beginning, which sounds like, well, firmware-wise, we don't have it down right now, but it's definitely something we can patch and release later. But I'm not sure if that's
yeah.
the final say. We got a whole nother year for them to get it together, so it might. I don't know.
I don't know if it will, and here is why.
They don't have to.
They they don't have to, but also they have a platform for people that want to play old games, and it's called PS Now, and they're
Hmm.
pushing that like crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're going to be making any consoles backwards compatible from here on out. I think it's all going to be this is the lineup of releases that we have for this console. If you want to play anything before then, either own old hardware, which let's face it, if you've been gaming for a while, you probably do have old hardware. I have
All of
two
it.
PlayStation 4s, god damn it. And um or you could subscribe to PlayStation Now.
So here's my thing. Why isn't PlayStation Now bundled into your uh, PlayStation Plus? Like, that's a no-brainer.
But
Your
my
PlayStation
curiosity
Plus
is
now
that
costs $55 a month. Boom. Oh
But
no.
see, backwards compatibility going forward is not going to be just about the physical hard copies. If everyone's going to these digital media style games, it's literally a matter of download upload. And if it's so easy to obtain and people have all these games in their library, but all of a sudden an entire swath of them get voided out because the console you're on can't play them, I feel like they're sort of alienating themselves by saying, well, we're going to have you store all your games on our digital cloud, but you can't play them. They're old. And it's like, but I paid for it. Here it is, and I have access to it. I want to play it.
You're talking about in regards to the physical media that they own, right?
Sort of. I'm not necessarily
No, I
referring to like CDs and discs. I'm referring to like the fact that how games nowadays are all going towards a full digital, you know,
Yeah.
releases in media, and so
and
it's just a matter of digital media shuffling. You're not having to deal with, physical media that has to adapt to certain hardware. It's all firmware. That's why I'm not sure. I don't quite understand why they wouldn't allow it to be backwards compatible with some firmware patches in the future.
I mean,
Because
I
the
guess it's a
hardware is capable.
possibility.
All they gotta
Ah,
do is
feck.
literally make a modulator plug for. I call it a modulator plug, but essentially it's like that for the previous system. And if the newer system they're touting is so friggin' easy to develop on because they've coded it in such a way to handle that, I absolutely don't see why it can't handle something that runs older games.
What if they were using that space for something else that would draw more money? What if they could optimize like RAM? What if they could optimize their video card better? I
Maybe.
I also don't have like direct information of how many people are playing old games on current generation consoles. You know what I mean? If
Hmm.
that is a small enough slice of the pie, it's something that they could potentially jettison in favor of something that is a more of a majority of what players want.
I mean, sure, they're gonna chase the money like anyone else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're in the speculation zone. All I can say is they'll be releasing more information, and we will soon see. We will soon see.
Hey, you guys, do we want to talk about Blizzard now?
I like the way that your mind is going. Yes, let's talk Blizzard and BlizzCon 2019.
All right. Well, Blizzard kind of stepped in some shit uh recently in regards to I think we may have partly covered this in our previous podcast, but
Was this the Hong Kong stuff?
as a quick refresher, yeah, it was the Hong Kong stuff.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
um a pro player had a win in a tournament and used his time on the microphone to talk about Hong Kong and to show support for Hong Kong. And Blizzard banned the player for a year and revoked all of his prize money. And after an outcry, they gave his prize money back and reduced his ban to 6 months. Uh, and that was with BlizzCon, I believe, like a week and a half, 2 weeks away. And they decided to just go full steam ahead into BlizzCon with the notion now that there are going to be a ton of Hong Kong protests at their event in, I believe they had it in Anaheim. Right? Is it Anaheim where they had it?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe so. Yes.
Well, they had their event, and in their event, the first keynote speaker was the president of Blizzard or whatever, and he had a very canned, very corporate, "we are sorry" response that I think lasted 3 minutes. Um, I was not impressed with it. I listened to it all the way through. I don't really know what to say about it other than, man, that was not sincere at all. And I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Did either of y'all listen to his response?
It didn't. How do I say this? I watched like the clips of it. I didn't watch the full opening address. So I watched the clips of it. It sounded like I see you, I hear you, but it is what it is, yo. Let's keep moving. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like. And I was already disappointed with how everything panned out.
Mm-hmm.
Even giving the company like the briefest amount of leeway for at least on some small level understanding what it must be like as a business to work with China.
Yeah.
Because that's just a huge socio-political cultural can of worms right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like even giving them like and I'm not saying like giving them a pass or anything like that, just the briefest amount of understanding that I know that is a big deal. I was just like, man, you could have done better than that.
Definitely. And in BlizzCon, they announced and had some very nice presentations for Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. Diablo 4 looks really, really
I
cool.
watched both of those trailers and I liked them both.
Can
But
we talk
hold,
yes, okay, sorry, go.
okay, here's my speculation zone thing. Even with them years away, those two games years away, does their handling of how they are treating Hong Kong and China have any effect on whether or not you will be playing those games? Are you any more invested or divested in Blizzard properties now?
I'd probably have to wait and see.
On a personal level, I can already see it affecting me. I have played Overwatch since, but not at all near what I played before. And it was like, okay, some friends of mine are on. They want to get together and sit around and talk. Let's sit around and talk and play Overwatch. And that's I've played it twice in the past month, where
Mhm.
before I would play at least like 3 or 4 times a week, even if it's just for an hour, just to hang out with friends. So I can say that watching the animation for over the short film for Overwatch 2, my little heart leapt a little bit, but I wasn't that excited
But I got
about
tamped
it.
down by the anvil of reality.
Yeah, yeah. And there's other things there that we'll talk about later, once we actually let me talk about Overwatch 2 for a minute. But
That could be now if you want.
no, I actually I wanted to bring us down a little bit further before we rise. Just got to keep on going down.
All right, all right.
Because there was something else that actually happened at BlizzCon. Or one, there was a presence of protesters at the event, which I had hoped for, if only to bring more light to the plight of the people of Hong Kong, and also, I mean, because I think that's one of the most important parts of standing on my thing. But if you have the power
Democracy.
to use your voice, yes, democracy. If you have the power to use your voice to speak to the plight of others, and you 100% and you feel strongly about it and need to do so, then you have the ability to do so. Then you should do it. And so that's like, flags waving. I'm proud to be in.
Yeah, yeah.
But something else happened there as well, wherein this is a little complicated. I don't even know all the steps to it. But there was some issue that happened with the Mythic Dungeon and WoW Arena championship games that were being played at BlizzCon.
Really? I didn't hear
So I'm
about
going to run
this.
through it. I'm going to run through it real quick. I don't know all the ins and outs because y'all know these are not my games. But earlier this year, Blizzard announced that fans of the WoW community could support the WoW esports by purchasing 2 toys that were available at the Blizzard shop. And they said that 25% of the proceeds would be contributed to the player pot, the prize winnings for the finals at the end of the year at BlizzCon.
Okay.
And they said with a guaranteed minimum prize pool of $5,000 US dollars, which would be $250,000 for each event, right?
Okay.
So on the 28th of October, Blizzard announced that the prize pool would be $660,000.
Dang.
So they went above the $500,000 that they announced, right?
Yeah.
However, the community was saying that they could not be sure that Blizzard was actually contributing any money because the success of the toy sales were so great. They weren't sure if they were just using it off of the proceeds instead of Blizzard actually putting that money in there.
Oh, I see.
Clever ploy.
So what happened about this?
Um,
I see.
I don't know.
All right,
I didn't follow up. I just
we'll
something
do a little bit
just
of
something that
research.
happened.
It's a
Yeah.
hook for our next podcast in 6 months.
Yes, but that was just another bit of controversy that was happening that went into to BlizzCon. So then we had the non-apology, non-mea culpa, mea culpa apology. And then they released some pretty good-looking shiznit.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Diablo first? Because I really love that trailer.
Okay. The cinematic or the gameplay one?
I'm sorry, the cinematic.
Okay.
The gameplay looks cool, but
I
that
watched the cinematic one.
The cinematic
Woo!
was
Top tier.
so good, dude.
I was like, where's my movie?
It was so good. Like,
I will say, Blizzard can do
Diablo.
some messed up stuff, but they can make some banging CGI movie clips.
Diablo always had really, really, really good cinematics.
This
Like-
was amazing.
Like eye-bleedingly good cinematics, and this was right up there with
Literally,
those.
these people's eyes bled.
They really did.
I just want to say that it was visually, it was one of the coolest things I have seen out of video game animation in a long time. And I'm even thinking about the Elder Scrolls announcement that not a lot of people were jazzed about, but I thought that their last at E3, their trailer for their next big expansion, Dragons, whatever.
Oh yeah, for the MMO.
Yeah, for the MMO. I thought that was actually really well done, and I played the game a little bit. I didn't get into it, but I actually watched that trailer. I was like, maybe I should give this another try. That necromancer looks super cool, and the Catwoman, she's
Yeah.
so cool. But this was epic. Like it just blew my mind. I was like, this is amazing. Whoever the art director was, whoever the storyboarder was, whoever sick brain designed
God.
like this, it blew my mind. It was so good.
Lilith stretching herself out of a two-dimensional skin sheet was probably the best thing that I had seen in weeks.
Unique.
It was great.
I was like, I don't want to see this like birthing of Lilith, but at the same time, it was so spectacular. And then like the like it almost looked like flower petals coming down. It was like meat sack coming down when she alighted from the other plane of existence through a skein of blood from three separate. It was like, oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was great.
So cool.
I honestly
why
didn't know
I think
it
of
was
that?
skin. I thought it was going to be like a little portal. There was going to be like a little blood drop ripple, and then she would just kind of like come through it. Not the whole like,
dude.
oh, we're going to gently let you down through this blood
It
skin.
was
I
a
was like,
sheet
ooh,
of flesh.
I don't know about this. And of course, all the guys on the pillows are just like, ah! And
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
But it was honestly so cool.
Yeah. And the thing that I really liked, it was all friggin' cool, but the thing that I really liked was that you could see Lilith's heart beating in her chest and see the bones in her
Yeah.
feet
Good.
and stuff. That was really cool.
You could.
That was
Well, she
that
was
was
kind
so
of
cool.
just come from another plane, so she's kind of probably still putting herself together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was just like, again, astounding. Like, she needed flesh to come through the thing, and so there's the blood, and then she just wrapped herself in the flesh. I was like, ah! And I'm sure there's more biblical reference there, because I don't know the story of Lilith. I vaguely know the story of Lilith, but I'm not a theologian. I've never read those hidden books of the Bible or whatever it is, so I don't really know Lilith. The first time I was ever exposed to her as a thing was through Avon Neon.
Oh,
thing was
Evangelion?
Yes, thank you. That's the first time I ever heard of of this character. It was just so cool. I'm just gonna keep on saying that. It was just so cool.
The idea of Lilith in Diablo is different than like the idea of Lilith in Christianity. They're different things. They're just taking the name. So
Yeah, no, I'm sure, but it's still, how do I say this? There's still hints. They're still there.
Oh yeah. But man, it was cool. Do we want to like talk about the game a little bit, or do we still want to drool over the trailer?
No, get into the gameplay, because they did have a gameplay trailer that was released with it too.
Yeah. So they did mention that this game was years away, but it does look pretty cool. They showcased 3 classes so far. I'm not sure if those are going to be the only classes at launch, since I think Diablo 3 launched with either like 4 or 5 classes. I think they had like the monk, the wizard, the
Paladin.
crusader,
Oh yeah, Crusader.
the barbarian, right? And the witch doctor were the big
Yeah.
4 in the beginning. Ow, ow. But so far they've
So
only had 3, and they're a druid, a sorcerer, and a like another barbarian-ish kind of person, right?
yes, and so when I first saw the initial gameplay from them, I thought to myself, "Well, there's no way you're going to be able to beat a fleet of horses just appearing out of nowhere and trampling everybody." And then the dude turned into a friggin' bear, and I was like, "Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, the guy turned
I'm
into a
here to
bear.
see."
Uh, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it other than, yeah, it's Diablo. One of the things that they mentioned was that this game was decidedly open world, which is
Mm.
cool. Another thing that I'm not so jazzed about hearing is that it will feature cosmetic microtransactions.
Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of lame because their character, how do I say this? Their their character, the screen real estate is such that do you really notice?
I mean, when you get crazy ridiculous, you do notice, but
A little bit, but you got to get to that tier.
yeah,
And by then, you probably have so many choices you don't need to buy anything.
yeah.
I mean,
And
for goodness sakes, all the transmog choices there were in the third one, like tripping over them.
yeah. And they were still releasing them as the seasons went on. So I don't know if they're going to tone that back and only start releasing things for like specifically cosmetic stuff. But
I hope not. That way lies madness.
yep. Yep. Uh, I don't know if I want to be looking forward to this or not. What with how they handled Hong Kong and Blitzchung and all of that. I don't know if I want to be the person that inevitably will not be heard, standing on the soapbox saying they did this wrong thing and I'm not giving them my $60 to play this game that everybody else is currently playing that I absolutely loved, Diablo 3, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's a weird feeling to have. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
But we can now talk about Overwatch 2, and this is all vast territory, so I'm gonna let her do it.
It's on me. So for a while, I think earlier this year, Jason Schreier from Kotaku had released that there was going to be an Overwatch 2, or something along the lines of an expansion to the Overwatch universe in the form of a new game, and that he described it as something like a Left 4 Dead style cooperative PvE game. Part of that is because in the base game of Overwatch, they have events that happen almost quarterly or that coincide with different things. And the biggest event that they have outside of Halloween is the Archives event, where they gave players a PvE experience. And they've
Yeah,
done that for the past 3 years now. And it was very well received. It was a lot of fun. It took you out of the monotony of the PvP gameplay loop, which I still enjoy. But it also gave what I feel a lot of people wanted to experience with these characters that have a ton of personality, and it is very easy to attach yourself to, which is to have like experiences with your friends that are consistently letting you live out that power fantasy, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't always have that in PvP because,
Power fantasy.
the game is weighted. You're going to get there's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be somebody worse than you. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And now it has arrived with what I thought was a very nice cinematic to kind of cap where the first cinematic began to where we are now in the Overwatch universe. 3 years, and they are finally showing what happened when Winston got the band back together, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought
It
it
was
was
really
I
just
thought
an
it was really
implied
cool.
thing from the beginning trailers in the first one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I guess it's happening.
So I
Yeah.
need to confess that I did not watch any of this because
What?
every time I even think the word Overwatch, I have a feeling come over me that is very similar to trying to ingest an entire whole orange after I've brushed my teeth. So
But
I
the cinematics are so good.
listen, League of Legends is releasing a series. I'll be fine with that.
Oh, did you watch the League of Legends new music video?
No, I didn't. Is it any good?
What? You know what? I enjoyed a lot, but that's because how do I say this? All right, I'm going to say this because no one's watching this. I went there and I watched it. I was like, oh wow, this is really cool and it's different than the KDA or whatever the last one was. But it's really cool, and I was like, I recognize someone's voice, but I didn't know who the rapper was, and then I went and looked up who it was. I was like, oh my gosh, I know this dude. He's so cool. It was Duckworth, and then they had some other people on there.
Oh, Duckworth. I know Duckworth.
He's really cool, and he's like the main guy in the video. The animation looked cool. Like, it was fun. It was a fun thing. And then I made the mistake of clicking into the comments. And like the first, whatever was like, oh, this is not nearly as good as KDA. Someone should have told them that this, and this. I'm like, dude, like this is the same.
I will hurt you.
No, it was more like this is the same. Like, this isn't even my thing. But I was like, this is the same team. Like, it's not like this was like Dota.
Yeah.
Wait, was it Dota? Who did KDA?
I don't know. This is completely out of my wheelhouse.
Look, it is mine too. So, wait, where's? Right, so Riot Games makes.
League of Legends.
Okay, so yeah, it's the same team. So it's not like it was the group who does Dota made like their own music video and they're just going on there to trash it. You know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't understand. Like it's the same thing. You're so like, if you like them, then support them so they can give you more of the things that you want. I just didn't understand it. It just blew my mind. I don't know what's wrong with kids.
Okay,
I guess is what I'm
all
trying
right.
to say.
So, first off, YouTube comment section and comment sections in general are a barren hellscape of neckbeards and asshats.
I knew this
Okay.
going in. I did.
And the only
But
reason why we haven't run into it yet is because we're nobodies. You know what I
Well,
mean?
this is true. And look, I know this. I know this as a thing, but I thought it was a safe place. And I was really just going to go and see who the voices were because, like I said, I recognize someone's voice as someone I knew. I just didn't know who the rapper was. So I was looking for who it was, and then I was like, no, I shouldn't have did this.
Quick
Anyway,
little
I'm getting off
tie-in.
topic.
Quick little tie-in. All right. And yes, I'm gonna have to do this because absolutely, Duckworth was featured on the Amazing Spider-Man animated movie that came out last year, and they just recently announced that there's going to be a new Spider-Man animated movie sequel in 2022.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Super
gonna be
excited
a
about it.
new one, and they've already confirmed a Japanese Spider-Man at least being in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. They haven't really said anything else other than that. But that segue was for you from the bottom of my brainstem.
I appreciate it because it is super cool. Man, that was such a good movie. Okay, all right, hold on. Let me get back to Overwatch 2 real quick because I do have some real thoughts about this.
Okay.
So the animation was lovely. I kind of laughed a little bit because you can tell that they are very carefully managing their budget. Genji didn't say anything, but they did use his voice line for his Ultimate, and I was like,
Yeah.
they couldn't even just let him just say it. The voice actor just say it.
Recycle it.
They're just gonna recycle that one thing.
What if he was busy? He could
I
be
mean, he
doing
could
other
be.
things.
I mean, but that Blizzard money.
What? It still doesn't preclude you from being busy, Fast. Money
I
is
guess.
money.
I mean, you have schedules. You can just arrange it. Anyway, that's just because I love Legion. All right.
That's
I
poor
know where this is.
logistics right there.
Let me manage your schedule is where I'm going with this. So they announced that they released it, and then at BlizzCon they actually had a new map and game mode for the PvP version, and a new map and co-op experience for the Overwatch 2 PvE experience. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I did not go to BlizzCon. I could not play it, but I did watch some gameplay of it. And I sat there and I felt visibly and spiritually underwhelmed.
Really?
Here's why.
Hit me with it.
We played that Battleborn beta.
We did.
And Battleborn had its MOBA side and its PvP side, right?
Uh-huh.
In just that small beta, I think that Battleborn gave you way more usable, connected. I hate this word, but lore and story.
Right. One day we're gonna have to sit down and you're gonna have to talk me through why you don't like the word lore.
I can do it for you right now because I think I enjoy
Lore.
the idea and concept and lore. I like lore.
Mm-hmm.
I hate how, for whatever reason, lore has seemed to replace storytelling in gaming. And I don't mean in like, and I hate how it's starting to infect the areas of gaming that I come from, which is the RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And so now instead of storytelling and narrative and actually making a cohesive and connective experience of the good ideas that make up your lore and bringing them into the world in a way that is compelling and makes sense and drives motivation for you, the player, and the characters inside of the game, it is now just lore.
And you're
so
talking about the term lore as in a superfluous thing that you have to look up yourself in order to understand what they're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So lore is cool. Like the backstories and the things that make up the world building of a immersive experience, I think it's cool. The fact that now lore has replaced story in terms of what is being brought into a game, like, burns my biscuits. It makes me so upset.
The
and that people accept
Destiny
it.
put their story on those little cards tucked away in the game that you never saw unless you made an effort to go read them.
Yes.
So the actual story that's contained in those was never even mentioned in game and would have been pretty sweet if someone just had a one-liner here or there from those cards, but they never did. They just packed it in a little sardine can that were those little flip cards on the weapons and stuff.
Yes. And people were so
garbage.
like, and then the thing that pissed me off even more is that people just ate it up. It's like, oh, but the lore is so good if you just go. If you just leave the game and just read the cards. There's a story there. The lure is so there. It's like, no, it should be in the game. It should be in the game.
Oh, that's fantastic. If you just read the lore about this thing that I had right here.
It's called the lure.
Lure. The lure.
So I was a little underwhelmed with Overwatch 2's gameplay because I have seen how long it has taken them to cobble together a narrative for their expansive universe. And while I do enjoy some of the things that they have done to try and bring it in, and look, I get it. They had a massive like MMO type idea that they had to shed, like Lilith, and emerge as something new. Like I get that,
Right
and
out
so
of a skin sheet.
right out of a skin sheet, and so like I understand that is really difficult, and then collecting all that stuff back together to attach to, like, it's just hard work. It is something that is hard to do.
Yeah.
But they had started out like trying to do comics. Recently, they've done some short stories. They've done like not cinematic. They've done the cinematics, but they've also had like small.
Yay! Danny's here. Hey, Danny.
Hey, Danny.
But anyway, continue.
No, so basically, what I'm trying to say is, I'm a little bit skeptical with how I've seen the lure and narrative of the original Overwatch. I'm really skeptical as to how it's going to reveal itself or open itself up in Overwatch 2. I honestly don't. I mean, I hope to be proved wrong if I purchase the game, but I really don't think it's going to be a very good storytelling experience.
So let me come at this from another angle, if you don't mind.
Please do.
So Blizzard has specifically said that they are not going to be splitting their player bases between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2. All of the updates to PvP that are coming to Overwatch 2 are going to be present in Overwatch 1, which means you are going to be paying full price for a PvE expansion kind of thing to Overwatch 1.
Yes.
Does that have any
That sounds
bearing?
kind of garbage.
Does that have any bearing on your decision with how you're treating Overwatch 2 and its release?
What do you mean?
Like, I know that you're kind of negative on it right now, but let's say if you were positive about it, like, oh yeah, more Overwatch 2, yada yada, this and that, I'm a fucking dork, then,
Well, first of all, sir, I am a fucking dork, so...
And then you learned that they're keeping all of that, like all of the PvP stuff together, does that change how you would think about Overwatch 2?
It doesn't if it delivered a... I don't know. I honestly don't know what the hour mark would be. Like, what do you think is a fair story campaign for a co-op mode game? Like hour length. Like, is it 8 hours? Is it 12 hours? Is it 15 hours?
So if you're going for a standard like shooter, if you're gonna like run through a Modern Warfare, if you're gonna play a Halo from start to finish, that's like 8 to 12 hours of gameplay.
Okay. So
if you are gonna go for something more long form like Outer Worlds, that's goes at around 30 hours.
This is not me knocking them. It's just me looking at what they have and not knowing what's going on in the background in terms of their building up this world. I don't think they have 30 hours.
That's very fair.
I think that if they delivered a solid 8 to 12 hour co-op campaign, with a couple of fun twists and turns, and give you a fun gameplay for all of the characters in the roster, meaning like you can hit every map with the characters that they provide and like have a good time, then I would actually be okay with that. I just don't know if they can deliver that.
Oh God. Oh.
And one of the other reasons why I was a little slightly underwhelmed is even though we didn't go with Battleborn, the 2K humor, the Gearbox humor rather, was there.
Yeah.
And I think we had fun fighting Arachnus and the Brood.
Oh, it was great. We riffed on
I
that for
don't-
months.
For months. And so I know that I really enjoy the characters in Overwatch, like, to an appalling degree. I love Dino.
To an
I love
appalling degree.
Hanzo. I like it. But I don't see myself having that kind of laughter.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, they could prove me completely wrong. It could be a very deep, and compelling, like, gameplay, story beats, because I know they can deliver on, like, at least in their cinematics, I know they can deliver on story beats. So, like,
Yeah.
I could just be wrong. I just don't see it.
Okay.
I honestly think that in Battleborn may have done that part better, but Blizzard hasn't released theirs yet, so I can't say that for sure.
Yeah.
So that's where I am. Kind of
Okay.
ambivalent, excited for the future. More Hanzo, please. And yeah, we'll see.
Okay. All right. What else do we have to talk about? Do we want to keep it on Blizzard? Is there any more Blizzard news?
There's not any more Blizzard news that I'm aware of. I think we hit everything pretty good. And we only have a couple of topics that we can kind of, start closing out on.
Okay.
This is kind of goes back to next gen news, but
Okay.
Guerrilla Games was hiring.
They are hiring.
Now, for those who are who don't know who Guerrilla Games are, please give them a brief intro.
Okay, so for those that have lived under a rock,
Several rocks.
Guerrilla Games first rose to acclaim by making the Killzone series as first-party studio to Sony. And after they released their last Killzone game, I think it was called Shadowfall, that like 4 people played or something like that. It was like a release title for PlayStation 4. They decided to set out on a new game, and this new game was titled Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Horizon Zero Dawn took our spot in either 2017 or 2018 as Game of the Year.
Yeah.
It's
And
still so
Unanimous.
good.
it's so good. It's so good. But this means that they're working on another game. And what better game would they be making than a Horizon Zero Noon?
I'd buy it.
I'd buy
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. I'd pre-order it.
Oh man. That is one of the few games out of all gaming nonsense that would occur. I would wait with bated breath to download and play.
Absolutely.
Take a day off work.
A day off work
Yes.
to play
oh my
that
God,
game.
I would do it
Me
so
too.
hard to do that.
Danny just suggested another title, Horizon One Dawn. I like it.
It's true. Got to go from 0 to 1, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Taking it up a notch. Well, it's honestly right there with like Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Horizon 1 Dawn. Those are my 2 like next gen like games. Like I want them now.
Yeah. Totally. And I don't know where Ghost of Tsushima is, but that's another one on my list of games that I really, really want. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add other than that.
All right. Well, my last thing on our list is super indulgent.
Yeah. This is a
Scorch.
chocolate fountain that's
It
life
is the chocolate
size
fountain of
that you can, so that you can bathe in chocolate.
Did you watch the One Piece Cup
All
Noodles
of
Hungry
it.
Days video?
You know I didn't.
Scorch, why not? It was so
I can't do that, Vaz.
Watch
I
it
can't.
right now.
I can't
Watch
do it.
Put it on.
I
Watch
can't
it
do
right
it,
now.
Vaz. No,
Do
you
it.
can't make me.
It's so good. I can't
What?
believe you didn't watch it.
What
Do you
happened?
not
Why?
love animation?
Why? I do like animation, but I don't like one that's like 900 episodes of stretchy motherfucker all the time.
That's not
All right?
what I asked you to watch. I asked you to watch a music video
So
for the
what?
cross-promotional behemoth.
Of One
That
Piece and
is
Cup
One
Noodle.
Piece and Cup Noodles. I know. That's why you have
I
to
haven't
watch
seen
it.
yet. What is it called again?
Okay, so it's called One Piece Cup Noodles Hungry Days.
Okay.
Or you can look up Hungry Days X Bump of Chicken.
Bump of chicken.
Yes, that is the
It's-
band who,
Oh my
who
God.
created the music to which
Oh.
this amazing thing is.
Oh my
But the
God.
animation is so good for it to be a crossover with Cup Noodles.
Well, you know, Cup
You
Noodle
have to
paid
witness this.
top dollar to be in Final Fantasy 15. They had a whole storyline for it.
This
So,
is
like,
true.
this is
They
not
got
a
the money.
foreign thing for Cup Noodle. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. But this animation, Splorch, is really
Why?
good. I want to.
Sell me on this animation. Why would I watch this animation?
Okay, because it's 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes, you get the main story beats for the Straw Hat crew.
Okay.
And you get to see in these 5 minutes, like the connecting thread that is the One Piece story, and some of the, or one of the most like transcendent moments in that anime's like long history, which is the climax of, well, I don't think it's the climax, but I guess like the climax of the Water 7 in this lobby arc, which was fantastic storytelling.
That was a foreign
And you
language
do it
that you just
all-
threw into my ears.
And you do it all in 5 minutes.
Then why are there 900 episodes of this fast? They did it in 5 minutes!
Look, I said the story
Why?
beats, not the entire story.
Why?
Would
Why?
now be a good time to say that I'm 100 episodes into that?
Are you serious? No! No! Why? Oh, you're gonna drag me into this, and I don't
So I
want to be into
secretly
this.
started this 2 months ago, and
You
I
bastard! Why?
binged it.
Oh my God! No!
My fists are so tight, my nails are digging
That's
into
so.
my skin.
Oh my! I'm gonna have to reevaluate this friendship that I've
Oh
had
my
for a
God.
decade.
Oh my God!
Why?
Arcadius,
I put
Arcadius,
it
you have to
down
watch the
after
Cup
like a
Noodle.
couple of little
No,
arcs. And I was like, okay, that's a
no.
good stopping point. Shelved it and went back to the other normal anime stuff. Because when it was in between the seasons and there wasn't anything else to watch.
Oh my God!
Arcadius, how far did you get? You got like 100 episodes in, you said?
Roughly, it was after. Oh, what is this thing here? Thinking way back
Ugh.
here.
Sounds of disgust. Ugh.
Where did I? They rescued Nami from her life back on her village island from those beastmen.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
a good
that's where I
arc.
stopped.
Okay, so you
Am I gonna
so
have
you
to
need-
watch this
Probably
series?
more like around 80.
No,
I haven't touched it since, and it's been like 2.5 months.
I don't want to have to watch this series, you guys.
so
No.
Arcadius. So it won't be 100% relevant to you because you haven't met all of the Straw Hat crew.
Definitely
But if you watch the Hungry Days Bump of Chicken music video, it's an AU of One Piece. So it sets them all in like a school days type type thing. But if you watch, like, one of the things again that really impressed me about it is like in those 5 minutes, you got a really good snapshot of each member of the Straw Hats crew, like backstory.
Okay.
like in just 5 minutes. Like
I
it was
thought
just
they've
really
already
well
got a
done.
pretty decent amount of backstory on the characters so far.
I hope so.
Mhm.
It's 900 episodes.
That's what I mean. So trust me, we got some rock solid background on
But
like 4 of these characters.
yeah,
Like,
but so that's the thing. Like you don't get some of these characters joining the crew until like episode 500, episode 600.
Beth,
So
what the
man.
fuck?
Oh
like I'm
my
not
God.
kidding. Like Frankie doesn't join until after the Ennis Lobby and the Water 7 arc.
Oh
And
my
he's like a
God.
very integral part of like that's how they get the
Uh,
1,000 Sunny. You have got to watch
Beth,
this
that
show.
doesn't make
Don't-
any
It is
sense.
so
Don't
good.
That
this
made
back.
0 sense.
I stuck my toe in the water and you Sheila monstered me into the deep end. Like that's not what.
No.
We don't need that.
No. But honestly,
Calm
just
yourself.
watch the music video. It's a great song. But I will say this: like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and as I talk more about things that I enjoy, I realized that one of the reasons why I love One Piece so much is that writing team and Oda Sensei are masters of Chekhov's gun. And I mean that is that if you see something interesting in One Piece, chances are it may be like 200 or 300 chapters later, but it's going to turn back up and it's going to be super cool and super relevant. They're really good about that. And that's, I think, one of the things that makes people so trusting with the team, I guess, is the right word for it.
Uh-huh.
And even though I took a huge break from One Piece after the Marineford arc, I came back,
Oh
and
my
they
God.
hurt me. That show, they hurt me. They hurt me really deep.
Danny is over here saying that it hurt Anna too. She stopped watching it after a certain character's death.
Really?
Yep.
Over here.
Yep.
Well.
Yeah,
then.
there was a word there was like a phrase, not a phrase, like a slogan that was like no one dies in One Piece because everyone would come back. No. Someone dies in One Piece, and it hurts.
Let us
Someone-
dispel the rumors.
Someone
dead.
inevitably dies in One Piece because it's 30 years old.
No, they didn't have to kill him. They just did it because they wanted you to hurt, and I hurt.
I
It
think
still
the voice
hurts.
actor was like, "Guys, I've had enough. Kill me."
Oh my God.
It still hurts.
Vast, I can't do it. I can't. I'm not going
That's okay.
to.
Not everyone is strong enough. That's fine.
Yeah, I am not strong
people are
enough,
weak.
Vast. I'm not.
That's cool.
That's
And
not.
it's fine.
That's not
everyone
even my
needs to.
style of strength. That's like, you want to keep your hand on this car with a bunch of like 10 other yahoos so that you can attempt to win it in the 70s? Yeah, you're gonna get like die from leaded gas anyway. So like,
I'm just
Go,
saying,
let's
it's
do
a great
this.
story. It's good characters, and they live up to the tantalizing twists and turns and promises that they make to their reader. That's why I like One Piece
okay.
and their audience.
I will say though, it takes forever for something to happen in that show.
Well, I mean, but that's read the manga then. Read the manga.
I've already started one thing. I can't dive into another.
Keep watching it. If
Oh,
I
my
were still about
God.
my One Piece business, I would be like, watch episodes X through X, skip X X X. Because I had someone do that before, but I don't know where that. I don't know how I told them to watch it.
I'm sure I could look
because-
up a guide online.
Because there's a lot, but it's if you do Scorch, let me know and I'll rewatch it with you. It'd only be like
Really? Okay. Third time! What the? Why do you have so much time on your hands, Fast?
Look, I never slept
Oh my
when I was in
God.
college.
Ooh.
I didn't sleep.
Jeez.
Well, I
Jeez.
definitely won't be doing it anytime soon this calendar year, but I think
Yeah,
we digress.
Well, the only other thing that I even remotely have to say that is like vaguely in that wheelhouse was that Critical Role, the guys that do
Oh yeah.
Critical Role,
They're gonna get a
Um,
shindig, a little animated series, right?
well, they launched a
They kickstarted.
Kickstarter. They launched a Kickstarter to have to fund an animated series called The Legend of Vox Machina, and Vox Machina was the first campaign set of characters that they played to have like a 10 episode miniseries on some of the story beats in their campaign. Well, they absolutely destroyed the Kickstarter goal. I think recently they announced that they
Millions.
passed
Nice.
$10 million dollars in their
What?
Kickstarter.
Oh my
And
god.
and listen, guys, it's really good. If you don't play D&D, you can still love their storytelling. It's fantastic. It's
Wow.
amazing.
Okay.
Like
Well,
it's
How?
must be for
Wait a
that.
minute. Hold on. Time out. How are we sitting here talking about storytelling and you won't watch One Piece?
yeah, this is what we call different vast, all right? So anyway,
Wait a minute.
they
You
were packed up.
hypocrite.
Oh man, yeah.
Go
I
ahead,
mean,
go ahead.
I'm
take
really
this
one to
offline.
talk because they're like hundreds and hundreds of episodes in for both series, and each episode is like 4 hours long. So, um,
I'm judging you right now, and I live a
anyway,
judgment-free lifestyle.
anyway, Amazon just picked them up so that they could stream their series on Amazon Prime,
Oh.
and they added another season to their calendar. So with the backing of Amazon,
better with
they
$10
now
million.
got another season.
They better with $10 million.
I know. But it's really cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. And if you haven't listened to Critical Role, I think you should. The first campaign is really heavy. It's really hard to get into because they decided to start streaming it on a whim, and they jump in mid-campaign. But they have a second campaign that they're working on. They just passed episode 84 of that campaign. So I suggest if there are any of you out there that want to watch it, start with campaign 2. It's really nice. And that's it. That's all I have to say.
Well, Danny says that she hopes that it's available in Japan, and I do too.
Yeah. It should be available everywhere with 10 million goddamn dollars.
I'm just saying.
It should
for
be
$10 million,
available in
they should have-
fucking
they should have-
space, all right?
They should have like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, like $10 million. That's a lot for an animation team.
Yeah. All right, Vast. I'll cut you a deal. You want to hear this deal? I think you already know where it's going.
I don't trust you, but go ahead.
I will watch One Piece if you watch Critical Role. Silence overtakes the crowd.
Well, no. Here's the thing. I don't think it's fair.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean it's not fair?
No.
It's not fair to me. There are 900 episodes of this motherfucker that I'm offering to watch.
Scorch.
Oh
Take
my
a step
God.
back. Take a step back. I was about to say I don't think it's fair because I have already planned on it anyway.
Really? I didn't know that. How come you didn't tell me that?
Because it would make you too happy.
And what? I'm only supposed to exist like sullen and angry?
No, because I just knew it would make you too happy. So I was gonna wait until like there's a good time to tell you when you're sullen and angry.
God. I'm very glad that you're
hold
going to
on.
be picking it up.
Hold on.
What?
I'm trying to foresee if you can actually make it through to One Piece. I mean,
If I can
because there's
make
a
it through?
lot there. Yeah.
All right, listen.
Because there's a lot of filler.
I'm gonna
because
look
it's
up
the
a
nature of
guide.
the beast.
I'm gonna look up a guide because I am one fickle motherfucker. Okay, I I can love something and just binge consume it and then stop the very next day.
Yep.
So, like, it's gonna have to grab me, and it's gonna have to grab me hard, and it's gonna have to grab me for a really fucking long time.
See, that's the thing. I don't like. You don't like joy, and that's a really big part of One Piece.
No,
But you
I
do like
I
freedom.
hate joy. I'm so bereft of mirth, Vast.
No, I just mean how do I say this? The protagonist is even more simple than a shonen protagonist.
Oh God.
Um, so
Oh.
like I know it's going to be hard for you, but if you can get past, if you can get to the Arabasia arc,
All right. Vast,
then it'll be good.
have you watched Fairy Tail at all?
Yeah, Fairy Tail was made by one of Oda Sensei's proteges.
Yeah. Is it in any way as happy as some of the beats in like as Fairy Tail?
In some places, yes.
Okay, so I would then be in the realm of like the happy-go-lucky fairy tale stuff, right?
Yes, but it's less of it's it's a. Do you have a dream, Scorch?
No.
You don't have a dream. See, you're not gonna get One Piece. Oh, this makes me so angry. All right, bye, Danny.
Oh,
Good
Danny's
luck for the
leaving.
rest of
I'll
the
see you
week.
later. Oh,
Anyway, it's really good.
okay.
You just get drunk and watch it.
Good. Wow. Okay. I guess. I mean, I don't drink
That
that
show
much
make me
anymore.
cry over friggin' whale. It is good.
Cry over a whale. Wow.
Yes.
I
I mean, it was late, but still.
Yeah, you get loopy when it's late.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not even talking about video games anymore. Are we done?
No, I think we're done. I think
Okay.
we're just chatting right now.
And
This
put
has
a pin in
been
it.
this has been a really good podcast. I think we've gotten some of our energy back, and we want to do it more often because there are things that happen out there in the video game world, and it's possible that we now have the full band back together sometimes. So there's that. And I'm now ending the stream because that's all we have to say. Bye!